Okay, everybody, welcome to our virtual executive talk on smart employee frontline engagement to drive profitability, efficiency, and quality. My name is Bernhard Buckhofts. I'm running the Postal Innovation Platform, and we are organizing this executive talk together with Swiss Post and Austria Post. Well, every organization must cope with a multitude of employee-related issues and challenges, and this is certainly true for those companies which have a large workforce. And today we want to discuss how postal operators can enhance their engagement with frontline staff through smart communication and engagement tools. This is very relevant today because frontline staff has not really been in the strategic focus for a very long time. Frontline staff has been very often just regarded as, well, a replaceable asset in a lot of delivery companies. However, with driver shortages, new business models, increasing parcel volumes, frontline staff has now been identified as a key element in quality and in performance. So delivery companies face some very concrete challenges. For example, how to best communicate with a large number of delivery staff, how to best fight absenteeism, or how to retain staff, in particular, how to retain drivers. How can postal and delivery companies better integrate the frontline staff, keep them informed on developments within the organization, but also giving them a voice? And how to increase efficiency and profitability while respecting at the same time the needs of the frontline staff? So these are just very few questions that we'll try to answer and that we'll try to address during this executive talk. And we have here solutions and case studies which will be presented by Oliver Arber. He's the Senior Account Executive EMEA from Beekeeper. We have Jasper Depress, the CEO of Tradler. And by the way, Tradler also won the PIP Startup Innovation Award 21. And congratulations again for winning the award. And we'll have some interventions from postal operators such as Post Nord or PostNL, who will also share their views and their experiences with the different solutions that they have been applying so far. But I'll introduce those speakers later on. Before we get started, just very few organizational points. First of all, I muted everybody in the meeting. So if you want to speak, or when it's your turn to speak, just unmute yourself. And the other thing is, of course, you can ask questions. In that case, you have two possibilities. One possibility is that you use the chat box, which you can find. There is the button at the bottom of the page, and you can just write your question into the chat box. I'll pick it up and ask the speakers, or the speaker that you would like to direct the question to. Or you can also raise your hand or make yourself visible in whatever way, and we'll let you ask the question directly, of course. So with all this being said, I would now like to hand over to our first speaker, which is Oliver from Beekeeper. Oliver, you're ready?
I am. Thank you, Bernhard.
Take the floor and you can share your slides.
Perfect. You can all see my slides now?
Yes, we can. It's perfect.
That's perfect. So hello, everyone. My name is Oliver Arber. Proudly representing the company Beekeeper today, here to talk about how we at Beekeeper are on a mission to empower the frontline workers with modern technology that makes them more engaged, more productive, happier, and to sort of connect with their employer in a more natural way, but through a digital technology. So we at Beekeeper, we hold a passionate belief that frontline workers are the engine that drives any postal business, any frontline driven business, so to speak. We work with about 1,000 of these businesses together worldwide. Since about 10 years, we are on the market, and it's a vast majority of different companies, not only in the postal businesses, but also in manufacturing, in retail, in the hospitality sector, that relies on Beekeeper. Now, we are one of very few companies, I'd say, who focus exclusively on the frontline sectors. And we do love our work because we know that the frontline workers are the engines that drive those businesses. In your case, of course, the postal industry. Now, if we look at the entire global workforce out there, what we see at Beekeeper is a huge opportunity to solve a very massive problem, a problem that we also came here to discuss. So the vast majority of the global workforce works on the front line. Those are about 80% of all people working. So they spend their days in plants, making our products that we consume on a daily basis, delivering goods, such as the people in your industry. But when we look at the access that they have to all of the softwares and tools that office workers like you and me get to use on a daily basis, then we see that only 10% of these frontline employees are connected. This means that most of today's frontline workers don't have access to the information and the systems that they need to do their best job and work in a safe and in an efficient way. Now, Beekeeper sets out to tackle exactly these issues and these challenges. But what we really see is that a frontline worker works in a very, very different reality than we do as desk workers. Why is that? Because most solutions that we use on a desk, they were designed for office workers, such as Microsoft, etc. And it's fundamentally different in the way that it's built, this technology, than what maybe a frontline worker would expect or can handle. So yeah, the reality of their life is very different. Deskless, multilingual. It's offline in the way that they collaborate to coordinate work, and of course they're on their feet all day long. And then there are additional challenges such as the constant turnover, which is by a survey that we conducted, one of the most painful things that employers or employees on the front line say about their current work or status at work. Now, because frontliners are not served by today's IT solutions, they are stuck relying on the traditional methods, good old-fashioned paper, bulletin boards, manual processes, and in-person team huddles. Teams run their entire day with methods that haven't changed much in decades. So we can list a couple of things, maybe shift scheduling, shift schedule updates, the payroll processes, and safety procedures or checklists that are everyday tasks, like standing operating procedures that they go through on a daily basis. And it's kind of crazy if we consider that we are all here right now talking to one another over a Zoom meeting. So going even deeper into that topic, we can say that this is not the only thing. So on top of managing their day-to-day using old school methods, frontline workers and managers face an onslaught of disruption every day. Everything from extreme weather to not being able to fill open positions, new regulations, missing materials. It's a constant struggle for your teams to have what they need, the information and access to the tools to do their best work. And it drives disengagement. So what can we do about it? Or what does it mean in the first place? What it means to your business is that reality doesn't just make their jobs are hard enough, so to say, as is, and it costs a business real money. We are looking at a number here, 8,000K per worker, per frontline worker per year that is wasted. That's based on a study from Deloitte that they recently conducted. So the cost of the status quo is rather high. It seems high when you look at it first, but I think it actually seems rather conservative. If you start adding up all of the hidden costs, turnover, not having enough people to do the work, paying for overtime to get the coverage that you actually need. And it's also never been more expensive to recruit new people, to train them in an effective way. So not having full staffed and experienced teams leads to things that actually cause you to miss targets, like the numbers you want to achieve on safety incidents, or it drives lower quality actually, and not higher quality. So at the end of the day, it's lost revenue, but they can over time cause your business to disappoint customers and change your image to a more negative way. If we think about a company with 1,000 employees, the 8,000, they add up to quite a number. You can do the math in your head. I'm sure you'll get the right number. So yeah, it seems harsh, and unfortunately in the year 2022, we can't afford to stay within this status quo. Businesses face a choice: either change or lose staff, great resignation, and or customers, or even your competitive edge. It's unfortunately a reality, especially in today's world, economic, political situation, the overall current state of the labor workforce. But there are good news. So if there is this issue, there is a possibility that we can turn it around and make the frontline workers your competitive advantage, your secret weapon in the market. Now imagine your teams have everything they need at their fingertips in the form of a super app on their mobile phones in their pocket. And they could have access to all the information they need whenever, wherever they are, in whatever language. They know when to work, where to work, what to do. It would help them execute every task as efficiently as possible. And that's where we try to embrace and extend your IT ecosystem that is already existent towards that app that is in the pocket of every one of your frontline employees. Now, these are a couple of customers that we work with already, but I don't want to lose any time here, and I want to show you one specific case that might be of more interest to you. DPD in Switzerland is a customer of Beekeeper since 2019. They use the Beekeeper app for 1,100 shipping experts in Switzerland, and they use Beekeeper to communicate more effectively. That's what they started with. So it shaped the culture, it shaped how people interacted with one another. And you can see the quote from Tilman Schulze, who is the CEO of DPD Switzerland, on the right-hand side on the slide. The impact of Beekeeper is beyond our expectations as our very diverse workforce turned into a community in a snap. And I think that's the foundation. That's where Beekeeper starts, and how we start to bring these people together. At a desktop environment, we already have those tools, but not on a frontline environment. Now, these are some posts that you can see that were created at DPD. And then as well, it's not where it stops. We are now looking to help out DPD as our innovation partner, or as we are the innovation partner of DPD of choice. And we also deliver them new technology that we are testing and currently piloting together with them. This is about how we can recruit more people for their open positions. So first of all, through a solution called WorkPass at Beekeeper, there is a talent pool for employers where they can find people who might be suitable for their jobs, for their job openings. And then on the other hand, there's what we call the WorkPass app for the frontline employees themselves. So where they can find new job offerings that are open in your company. So as you can see, 2 use cases, always open roles. We want to help our customers fill those open roles in a faster manner. And that's another use case for Beekeeper at DPD, and how we can help them out, come around the shortage. I want to shed light on another customer of ours, No Time. They're a very innovative company based in Switzerland. We're quite recently bought and acquired by the Swiss Post, and they use the Beekeeper app as well. Also beyond the communication, of course, culture is very important and how people interact with one another, but it's not where it ends. Again, So we see that about 470 employees of No Time are using Beekeeper since 2020. 89% of these employees, they come back on a weekly basis to the app because they use it very regularly. And I just want to show you a return on investment case. Always one digitized or one paper process that we digitized together with No Time. Actually, they did it themselves once they had the app already installed and implemented. Now, what they did is they took the accident reports, which were paper-based, was a paper form that the employee would fill out. They would bring it into the office. Then the office worker would manually or by phone update the employee about the status. And there were often mistakes, maybe not readable things on the form, or the employee filled it out wrong, or it was difficult because it was in the wrong language, etc. Now, if we look at only this one paper process that was digitized, it took No Time. Funny because it didn't take them a lot of time, but it took them only 2 hours to save 50% of cost for this exact process, or in other words, 1,500 Swiss francs per year. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. 470 employees is about 300 forms they found out. This is only the time reduction that we express in a number here. What we do not consider is the paper cost, issues if something is not readable, and these interferences. So it's really just the time that they save by filling out the form digitally and by responding the status reports and remind the employee automatically if something is not filled out correctly. We did the same thing for a sick note, and there you can see also the cost reduction was even more significant, 60%. 3,300 francs is a very conservative calculation. And it only took them 3 hours to set up this workflow and digitize this paper process by themselves. Now, I'm already at the end of our presentation. If you want to know more, please get in contact. I'm sure there are things that we can help you digitize, bring the community closer. And please never stop believing in your frontline employees as being the most significant advantage that you can have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Yeah, I think that was a nice finish that you gave here. And that's the motto of the meeting anyway. Believe in your frontline staff. And I'm sure, I mean, you said there will be people shall contact you for questions. You can ask questions already here in the meeting. But let's have first the two presentations, or 2.5 presentations, let's say, and then we dive into the discussion. And I hope by then we'll have many questions. I'm sure there will be. Next speaker, Jasper, are you ready? Jasper from TradeLab.
Yes, I am.
Perfect.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, it just opened. It's perfect.
All right.
Looks good, please.
So it all started with a mailman, and that mailman is my dad. So this is my dad in better days, obviously. He doesn't, I mean, it's a bit older now. But my dad used to work 40 years in bpost. I mean, as PostNL is one of our customers, it's like the lesser PostNL, right? But so he used to work 40 years in bpost. And when he went into retirement, he shared with me that the only thing he got as a thank you was a medal for being 25 years in service. And I thought that was so sad that I decided to go and try to solve this. So today in my presentation, really what I want to show you is the method, how we approach it. Now, whether that method works for you, that's for you to understand, right? That's for you to look into your organization, how that would work. But today I'm trying to give you some of the puzzles that we work with. First, like Oliver already said, there's a lot of symptoms of disengagement, right? I mean, there's things like quality problems, there's churn, there's productivity, I mean, the difficult processes. I think my dad was a great example there, where bpost introduced a new scanner, and for about 3 months, every single day, he was complaining about this new app that, people in HQ have no idea. But if we fast forward another 6 months, he's like, we always needed an app, right? I've always said that we needed an app, and it was really important. really, when we look into like engagement and employee engagement, we're thinking about, I mean, at least from a Treadler point of view, thinking about behaviors. So how is my behavior, how are my actions toward the organization, how am I feeling toward the organization? So really the question is, what if we were able to pull all on the same side? What if the 20,000 or 30,000 or 60,000 or 600,000 people that you have in the organization would all be following those right behaviors? Right behaviors that, I mean, that's open for interpretation, right? But what if we would all go towards the same direction? Well, that's where we with Treadler focus. Right? I'm going to show you a little bit how we go over it, but first, when we start about behaviors, I think we need to start with defining what that means. So from out of Treadler, how we usually work with our customers is we start with a big, hairy, audacious goal. What is the one thing that you want to achieve in 6 to 12 months that is going to help you as a business move forward? From there, we go and identify what are the bottlenecks that are stopping you to achieve that. And then we look into what are the behaviors that we can drive in order to work around those bottlenecks. So maybe to give you a simple example from out of Postal, the big goal was to cover the network more efficiently. One of the bottlenecks that we found was the planning, right? So that planning, if we would plan better, it would be better. So the action that we then transformed into Treadler is people putting their week planning on time. Now, obviously, if you do your week planning on time, you have more time to plan, so you can work around the bottleneck. This is now one example. I'm pretty sure that Katja and Ekaterina will say something about customer experience, which I'm also super excited about to hear. But you can turn this into anything. You can drive your e-learnings, you can drive usage of other tools. I mean, it's really like, what is the goal that you want? The second pillar of Treadler is around appreciation. So how do you, in a simple way, recognize each other for the work you do? So I love what Beekeeper is doing, which is already giving the right information. Now, what we're working on is as well, how do I then say thank you on like that one individual? How do I know who to give a thank you to, at what time, and what is the right time? And so as you can see, I mean, this is just going through the process. It takes less than a minute to give a recognition to colleagues. And it can go in any direction, really, right? So we see a lot of recognitions going between each other, colleagues to each other. But there's also an opportunity to give a recognition from head or from central to the whole organization. I think a good example here is from PostNL. So in March, the Netherlands had a storm called Storm Eunice. And it took Johan, the director of mail, literally less than an hour to write a message together and send it to all the mailmen saying, hey, I know today is a really difficult day, but I truly appreciate the extra effort that you're doing. By the way, please stay safe. Now, the points on itself are not that important in that case. It's more the message of, hey, I know that today is difficult and I appreciate the effort that you're doing. So out of this, I mean, I can talk hours and hours and hours about the recognitions and so on, but I'm not going to do that because if not, Bernard is going to stop me after 15 minutes. So I'm going to quickly move on. The third pillar is about, I mean, really the question that where to focus, at what time and on who, right? Typically, logistics organizations have a bigger scope of control, so more people in their teams. So it's often difficult to understand, well, who is the person that needs that little bit of extra attention? So we work with collective knowledge. So what that means is our genie learns across all of our customers what type of interaction would help better, either increase productivity, increase engagement, whatever it is that you want to tailor it to. I know that, for example, in Post Nord and in PostNL, most of the managers are just opening it in the morning and they're going through their 5-7 main insights of that day. These could be things like, hey, it's Kati's birthday, but could also be, hey, did you know that John has been late 3 times on that one customer? You might want to make sure that the next time he's on time, right? So this is where you can tailor to whatever you need. And then the last pillar is the rewards. The rewards might sound silly, but the rewards is the initial answer to what's in it for me, for the frontline worker, right? If not, we're playing Angry Birds, right? So the rewards is just giving that initial answer. So those could be anything. We're working with partners. The only country that we cannot provide gift cards to is Antarctica. So I'm sorry. But all the other countries we can give gift cards to. You can put donations in there. I know Sipke is in the call who did something super cool with a recognition towards the mailman. It would be cool if Sipke could share that. But as well, you could include any company incentive. Right? Post Nord, they've run a raffle that someone won a cruise trip with 4 people. In PostNL, we did a raffle that someone won a breakfast for the whole team, and then suddenly they're all sitting together, which, given the Corona situation, was a bit difficult to organize, so that was a bit delayed. But you can completely tailor this to whatever you want. A bit of our results. The left side are kind of immediate ones. The right side is more like longer term. So obviously to see any like relevant impact on churn or like connectiveness within the organization, that takes some time because that's with the behaviors. Whereas increased productivity, depending on obviously, do I have this action in control or not, is something that you can kind of see within the first 3 months. So where do we really help? As I said, we work around your big, hairy, audacious goal. Now, whatever that is going to define how we're going to set up the platform. So is that around L&D? Wonderful. Productivity, quality? Great. Churn? Could be. Customer satisfaction? Could be. Maybe it's about you're transforming and you want to introduce new tools and people are not using it. Also good. But what I want you to understand about the approach, and that's regardless of Treadler, is that that goal or that area is going to change. Because what is today your strategic goal is not going to be the same as the one of tomorrow. So whether you're evaluating any tool or you're evaluating a new method in the organization, make sure that you have that flexibility with you. Right? For example, with PostNL, we started around the open areas, and now we're looking into, hey, maybe there's some work we can do in other areas. And that's the way that you need to approach Treadler. Gamification, right? That's like one of like the elephant in the room, right? So how do we keep it successful for the long term? Well, we use the 4 R's. Real time is just about the frequency of the data. Reliable is, okay, are the points correct? And rewards as well, are there meaningful rewards? But the relevant part is again on that, see it as a method. Don't see it as a solution. Is the work I'm doing today, is the way that I'm earning points still relevant to the larger goal of the organization? If the answer there is yes, then you're great. But most of the time we see that there's some mismatch. Like, hey, this is important now, but we're still measuring on the metrics of 9 months ago, who might not be relevant anymore. So we use the 4 R's to make sure that it's constantly positive. This is a number that I'm super proud of. Every 45 seconds, there is someone in the world giving or receiving a virtual high five through Treadler. This is in the world. This is literally from Colombia all the way to Australia, and obviously the other way, right? Not the short way, because that would be cheating. The user feedback. So yes, people like it. It gives them a kind of a scope that they understand, hey, this is what I need to focus on now. This is the important thing of the organization, which is also why we never put more than 3 to 5 metrics in it, that it makes it easier to like, this is what we want to focus on. And it allows to put people together. PostNL, again, we've integrated the SEO, which is their planning center, right? The one that gives the calls to the mailman. Before they were calling, hey, can you do an extra area, or hey, what's up? But now as well, they can give a virtual high five, which was maybe before not possible. So this is like an extra communication line that is created. Hayes, completely different organization, is now able to give virtual thank yous all the way through Spain because all the offices are integrated. Is it difficult to set up? Well, it took Just Eat an hour. So I think that's good. This is Arno. So we're now actually just starting with Just Eat. They are having actually the same challenges as I mentioned before, right? But it's different in how we're going to fill it in because their big, hairy, audacious goal is maybe different than other organizations. There's some obstacles. So yes, trade unions, right? How to deal with them. Well, if you bring them in from the beginning, they're the biggest advocates. The biggest problem with trade unions that we've seen is that a lot of time they think it is something when it is really not something. Is it micromanaging? No, it's not micromanaging. Is it a way to like evaluate people that perform? No, it's not a way to evaluate performance. It's literally a way to say thank you to people. That's it. And from the moment that they understand that, then they become our ambassadors. So it's good to bring them in the beginning. Data, like you can start as simple or as difficult as you want. We want to do it obviously as simple as possible. You can even start like with manually updating an Excel sheet for your performance data. Obviously, you can go all the way to direct APIs. So you need to see a little bit for your organization what makes sense and what's not too disruptive at this point. And then the scope too big or too complex, that's more like don't try to start with all the roles. Also, without Traveler, right? When you're doing any initiative, start small and expand from there. It's going to be easier. The rest, I think I've already explained. To get started with us, there's 4 steps. As I said, define the scope. Where do we want to start? Define the goal. What do we want to achieve with them? And what are the bottlenecks around it? Where do we get the data? And then to go live, we have all the communication templates that you can use from us that have proven to work. A bit about the product roadmap, but if you're interested, just send me an email and I'll make sure that you are added to our monthly updates, that you can see, that you can follow our progress. And so, really for today, I mean, again, regardless of Traveler, I think in the context of like smart employee engagement, I think it's maybe a good moment to reflect on like, well, what is our goal? What are the bottlenecks around that goal, what we want to achieve? And then what are the behaviors that would help us achieve that goal? Because I think that when we look into like the larger spectrum, that's not something that we do often, to review the previous defined behaviors. If you think we can help, here's my email address. Feel free to contact us, and I'll hand it back to you, Bernard.
Thank you very much, Jasper. Well, I'm a bit disappointed, I must say. Antarctica, I was hoping that you could serve them, but okay, that's how it is. Okay, perfect. Before we go to the discussion, I would like to invite now our colleagues from Post Nord to share their experiences. It's Ekaterina Spiridonova, if that was pronounced correctly, and Kati Pakalen.
Yes.
I think, Kati, you are going to start, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
So I think we need to take 2 steps at least back and kind of consider the fact, why are these type of applications needed? Like, what's the point? There has to be a need for the companies in order to, try to find solutions like this. And here it is. I deal with the customer feedback, and we get about 70,000 consumer feedback relating to their deliveries. What happened after, how did they feel when they received their parcel, either at home or at the pickup point? And out of those feedback, about 45% increasing amount is dealing with the driver. So the driver has all the power to leave that experience, that emotional connection for the customers, for the e-tailers that might be like all the way on the other side of the world. At the same time, we live in an industry where hard KPIs are really, really the trend. Like they're really important that, we use them to measure our business, but not often we realize that it's the customer experience. It's the soft KPIs, the soft KPIs that leave the emotional connection. So facts. Ekaterina, press, I think, 3 times.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No, that was 4 or 3. I don't know. We leave that up there. So over 50% of customer experience is based on feelings. So it doesn't matter if the parcel was delivered on time, but if the customer was not happy about the interaction with the driver, it doesn't matter. At the same time, if something went wrong in the delivery chain, which, believe it or not, in logistics, sometimes it does, the driver has the power to fix that. And the reason why it's so important is that it takes 12 good experiences to make up for 1 bad experience. And this costs companies money. So if the consumer, who nowadays it has really the power to decide which delivery company they use, if they have that 1 bad experience, for some reason, we need to get them try again for 12 times in order for them to trust us again. So it's really, really important that we succeed in the first try. And if we don't, then we have some tool to measure it, to ensure that, okay, they gave us another chance. Now we really, really need to nail it. So those are facts. So then Ekaterina, the next ones. So we know logistics is full of dependencies. So the whole customer experience can be dropped at any point. And only thing the consumer sees is that I press the button and check out and I'm expecting my parcel to arrive. And it's like no use of starting to explain to them that, okay, there was a mistake in the EDI, not all the information was transferred, your phone number was missing, so this and that, or the parcel was delayed somewhere else. They don't care. They just want it to be seamless and easy, and they want their parcel. And this is not only us humans in that last touch point ensuring that, but it's the technology and humans in like close cooperation, that we have to ensure that the customer is happy and will order again. So then the reality is, there are two underlying kind of like a base for customer experience and logistics. And I actually would turn this around. The most important is the employee experience, because if you have happy and inspired, if you have inspired employees, if they are engaged and they know the purpose of their work and you're able to inspire them, they're 225% more productive than just satisfied employees. So, you can count, that's productivity right there. So employee experience, and then they give that good experience to the consumer. That's number one, and delivering as agreed is number two. And the way I say it in that order is because even if the parcel is late and the driver is giving good experience, that might be something that the consumer remembers. But those two are the most important things. So my advice from the customer experience point of view is, and this is a quote by Kati Pakkalen, manage through motivation and inspiration, help people find their purpose and meaning for their work. If you do this, they will take care of your business. So step away from the hard KPIs, they have to be there, but add something to it. You get what you measure. And that's why we wanted to pilot Traveler. Ekaterina. Almost 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good timing. Yes, I also try to be very short. Hi, everyone. My name is Ekaterina Spiridonova. I work as a head of operational excellence and quality at Postal Finland. So my team is actually supporting operations with this hardcore numbers that Kati was relating to. So quality, cost, efficiency, productivity, all those things. And what I wanted to elaborate on and what Kati brought about the motivation and engagement is that we see clear interrelationship between quality and people. Humanity is in the essence of motivation. That's a quote by Yoshio Kondo, quality guru from Japan. And that is so true, that the care, the engagement, the interaction with people, that's bringing up the motivation, and motivation is one of the pillars for our quality and performance, and in the end, the customer experience, absolutely. There are a few things that I would like to highlight. As first of all, it's very important to clarify the aim of the work. We're so often focused on explaining, when we're born to people, like explaining how things should be done. So, what methods, what tools should be used, but not why we're doing this. Why is this important? And what kind of benefit and value your output of the work actually creates for maybe another process step for your stakeholders, either internal or external customers. This is the key for quality and customer experience. Then encouraging strong sense of responsibility. I think it's very common for human beings actually, try to shift responsibility on somebody else's shoulders. That's in our nature. But what we need at work is actually, bring up this, nurture this sense of responsibility, that we take accountability of work and then monitor it, look how we perform against the standard, and then maybe even improve it better. That's another pillar. And then the third one is setting measurable goals and monitoring this. Obviously, I think all of you talked about that, the aim, how we measure it, and how we could communicate this information or make this information available to our frontline employees. That's another key. And the fourth one here, I already talked briefly about, is engaging the creation of ideas. So based on this three, I expect that actually employees start to get ideas of how we can improve our work, how we can actually do things better and get to the target our KPIs or eventual goal. And I tend to believe that our customer experience and technical quality, if you wish, would be much better the moment it stops to be responsibility of just quality team or customer experience team, when it becomes part of the company culture, and when we all are responsible for those 2 bullet points, no matter what kind of work you do in an organization. That should be part of the culture. There's several ways to, of course, bring this up. Educating our employees, quality circles. There's literally a gazillion amounts of methods you can use from lean Japanese methodology to embrace the customer experience for the employee engagement and improve our quality. But we also have to use modern ways of working and the digital tools that are available now. We've heard presentation of 2 great companies, Beekeeper and Traddler, and this is why PostNord also started to our collaboration with Traddler. We realized that apart from among other things that we're doing now to engage our frontline employees and bring them closer to understanding, why quality is important, why customer experience is important. We decided to use the digital tool or platform, Traddler. I'm not going to go through this whys because they literally repeat my previous slide, but just maybe briefly a couple examples. So clarifying aim of the work. We're doing the pilot with a scope on consumer deliveries and retail deliveries, so for stores. Quite often, drivers have so many stops on the route that they literally don't maybe realize that there are several customers on the route and there's different schedules and different actually procedures and ways of delivery sometimes. But their main job, as they believed, to deliver those just stop by stop how the route is planned. But there's quite often there's other ways to that, of course, being on time, but there's also where you leave the goods, how you interact with the staff of the store, getting signature and so on. So this aim work has been explained to the drivers and then linked to the performance metrics that are available for the platform. So on time deliveries and then also feedback from stores and then consumers. In this way, we're trying to encourage the sense of responsibility, and I think that's what we actually got. More drivers started to ask how these things are measured, how my performance is measured, why we're doing this way. Can we get real-time data so I could monitor my performance, more real time in a way, I can see the trend. And then we are actually looking for, in the long term, use this experience to engage employees for work improvements. So actually seeing how we could do things better in the end. A few things about result. We've been doing this about 6 weeks, right, Jasper? Starting from April, I noticed that we got quite an improvement in on-time deliveries for both retail and consumer deliveries to home for the scoped area. We limited, of course, the scope. You see the trend on the right-hand side. There's a summary data, of course, but overall, there is a trend. And then I checked one particular driver. So driver X, his performance improved 30% in 4 weeks. That's really good. I also know that he is very engaged in the platform. He gives recognitions. He interacts with his colleagues, and overall they have a positive experience. Then I zoomed out and checked also on a retail customer. So taking one area and retail customer, which has several stores, and the quality went up to 10% in that particular area, which is also great because our target was, I actually expected a bit less, to be honest, but I'm really happy to see the result. We also heard about this improved interaction between the team leads, the dispatchers, and also drivers. There's more engagement, and as I said, people getting curious about how they're performing, and it's very important to actually provide this access to the information because otherwise, people kind of do their work and then, with the shield, so they don't know what's happening. They don't know how they've done the day. Previously we were doing, of course, reports on quality, but they were going only up to, you know, certain level of managers, and particularly, you know, frontline employees have never had access to see how they've been doing, you know, what kind of effect they have on the total quality. And then overall, we also got a quite positive feedback from our retail customers, that they're really happy that we're using such ways of engaging employees, and they're happily also getting on board and providing feedback to drivers. A few more things, lessons learned. We realized that it's very important to get really close team leads to the drivers who are like part of the pilot, because they interact more, they have closer connection, and then engagement is much better. Daily data, of course, live data is very important, no question about that. Giving recognitions frequently also is a key to success. On a negative side, we've been having, and many of you also mentioned, the turnover among employees. So we've been having a churn among drivers, and that of course affects you know, the results. Sometimes you see like one route, and then you try to see the performance over the week, but then there's different days, different drivers, and in a way it's very hard then to measure sometimes on a driver level. But hopefully, like in future, we could have more stable situation among regarding the turnover of drivers. Yeah, so maybe to conclude this, so far a really great experience, getting really good feedback from team leads and drivers. And yeah, let's just remember that quality is our all responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katja and Ekaterina. That was really extremely useful to have this direct and immediate use case here from testing that is very, very fresh, actually. Now we've heard from all the speakers here very impressive results. And you could, of course, ask the question, why has it taken so long, and why does it take so long to implement all these tools and all these solutions, which really can help to well get the frontline staff integrated, involved, engaged, and so on and so forth. Jasper, you mentioned a few things on one slide. Oliver, what is your experience in that respect? Why does it take so long? What are the classical hurdles, the classical objections that you see?
Just to clarify, Bernard, thank you for directing the question my way. We're talking about what takes long to make a decision to implement. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah, I think change is very difficult. And, you know, in the frontline world, with the lack of technology, getting technology into the hands of the people, giving them a voice is a thing that we've never done before. So I think it's obvious that questions will come up like, oh, I don't want my employees to share negative emotions that they feel or negative situations that they feel that they're having at their job. But why not? Why wouldn't somebody like to share or have their employees share that? Because then we can tackle the problems as a company together. I think that makes sense. I think there's a lot of fear of change. Yeah. And that would be a common objection. I don't want to give them so much power because maybe they're having a miserable day and they want to let it all out.
I mean, Trailer is very much about positive feedback or goodies. Jasper, do you also see here the fear that negative maybe comments could be made, or does that play a role as well? What you experience?
Well, I mean, like, not really. I don't think that's actually, maybe like I'm gonna do a classic Jasper and redirect the question. Martin, maybe you're probably a better person to answer this because you've been driving this from out of PostNL.
Well, I don't really know, Jasper, so thanks for redirecting the question, which I don't have an answer to. Anyways, I am Martijn. I'm here via Jasper, and I got to know Jasper and Treadler when I was at Send. I was business development director over there. Really proud of Jasper and what he's been achieving, and also what good presentations he has nowadays, because he really marked all the boxes I had, which were the benefits from the tool he made. So it's really difficult for me to embark upon more things than Treadler and Jasper already mentioned. So I don't know, to answer your question, Bernard, whether there is a possibility of negative behavior within the tooling. I must say that we don't really see it. So maybe the practical implication of it is that we really see that most team leads and also most employees themselves are really happy to use it and like the energy and the positivism in it, in order to use that and to use the game as well to compete with each other and to do the nice things in order to get the milestones first and turn a rainy day into more of a party. So you're almost hoping for the next rainy day or snowy day or stormy day, as Jasper just mentioned, in order to get that extra points and to earn the Storm Master button within the app, within the gamification kind of tooling. So I don't really know, Bernard. And I must say, I'm really a bit far from the operations nowadays. So I'm sort of the front worker in that respect of business development and letting it go into the operation. So maybe Sipke, who is out of this call, can answer that later on. But
okay,
good question.
But still,
Can I comment, Bernard? On
yeah,
that?
please, Kati, please. Yes.
I bail you out, Jasper, but typically I have a tendency of commenting on something I really don't have like really knowledge of. No, I do, but I'll try anyway. So my guess is with negative feedback that it's not so much that the companies are scared to get it, but they're not equipped or they don't have the resources to act on it. So, that's the worst thing, that you collect and you keep getting negative responses and nothing happens. And that's the worst thing, not actually the negative feedback. So that was my educated guess.
But so does that mean if I implement such a solution, I would need also kind of in the back end,
The
those
process.
who can manage it. I need to have processes, I need to have resources that can manage it properly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would say that.
I mean, yeah, we have a question. Holger, please.
Sorry, first need to unmute. Very, very interesting presentations. Thank you for that. So, I mean, also coming from a quite a familiar perspective, how to improve frontline workers' performance and onboarding people better, etc. And we come from a little different angle. We work with the voice technology and voice assistants here. But what we face over and over that companies who deploy a variety of solutions, and we saw now two here with Beekeeper and Trailer, etc., telling us that they already today have difficulties that employees have 2, 3, 4, 5 different apps, right? So they have an internal app for applying for vacation, and then they have the, of course, the driver app to do the tour, and then they have the Beekeeper and for sending pictures, and they have the gamification. How you handle that? I mean, it's an open question to the corporates as well as to Beekeeper and Treadler. What's your experience with that?
A good one. That's a good one, Holger. Too many apps, maybe. Or I mean, they should make the life easier of the drivers. But in the end, if there are too many, it might get a bit. It might complicate their lives. What are your views on that? Who wants to answer?
Go ahead, Jasper. I can take the second half.
All right. Well, it's an interesting question, right? Because are there too many apps, right? And to be honest, I would say yes, there are. Right? So one of the things that we're seeing is it is actually a pain that we solve, right? So if you think about, for example, Postal having a new My Work app, how do you drive the usage of that? Or back in the days, Send, they had also different tools. Like how do we how do we drive the usage of it? So rather than seeing us as a different app, I see us more as like control centers, maybe not the right word, but like, how do you drive certain usage of certain tools? And I think that's more from out of a Traveler point of view, at least, that, I mean, yes, there are way too many tools, right? Like, God, yes, right? But so how do you drive the usage of the ones that are important? And that's how we approach it.
Oliver, you were nodding. Do you share this view, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think what needs to be said here is that it's always a very individual situation for every company. So depending on what kind of solutions you need, but for larger companies and enterprises, we see that that's true. There are a lot of tools out there, and a lot of the tools, they are very specific in some things that they do, and then they're very general in other things. What Beekeeper really tries to do is, and that comes with our focus of the frontline employee, is to provide an interface that is so easy that it doesn't need any explanation. But the tools in the background, those are still the tools that you would use, maybe Workday, SAP SuccessFactors, and all these kind of tools for the payrolls, for the payroll execution, etc. But we then really provide the window to the frontline employee. So I could see also, I don't know about it, Jasper, maybe we have to talk about it, but gamification, etc. And these kind of things in e-learning, those are tools that exist that Beekeeper doesn't execute very well, but we can bring it to the frontline employees' hands because we do provide the interface that is needed. And there we integrate. And that's what our clients do with e-learning, with pay slips, with shift schedules, etc. I think the question is also, which one is what is your strategy, and which one is your one-stop shop tool that you want to have, and to connect into that, because I think, yeah, the complexity is the norm, and we won't get around it. So I think most enterprises need to make that decision sooner or later.
Yeah, but also what I've seen in your presentations, in both of your presentations actually, and it's not really a surprise, but and I think this is also one of those parameters that show whether it's too much or not for the staff. But in both cases, I've seen it's more than 80% usage. So actually, the staffs where whether it's Beekeeper or whether it's Trailer, staff is using it very much from those figures that you have shown. Is that correct? I mean,
yeah, maybe we could add, Jasper, I hope you agree. We use computers, but computers are now also in this format. They're available for everyone. And why not use a computer for something that is easier with a computer? Just looks a little bit different for a frontline employee. And I think, yeah, if the interface is based on their needs and how their life works, their everyday life, then I think multiple tools can easily be a solution. They know it from their personal lives anyway. That's maybe something we keep forgetting now and then.
Maybe to both of you, one final question before we have to close the meeting. But okay, we have seen your solutions. What's the next thing? What is the next feature, a next tool that might be added where you say, okay, we are thinking already about something because there is a need for that? What would it be in both your cases? Oliver, do you have something which you can share in this respect?
I will give Jasper a minute so I can think about my answer. Jasper, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so for us, I mean, in what we're seeing is that the easier we make it to start using it, the better also the results, because then people don't see it as like a work, they see it as like something that comes like organically. Our oldest user was an 82-year-old mailman in the Netherlands. So that's quite cool. So there's two parts for us. There's a 100% self-setup, so you don't need anyone from Traveler to run and maintain anything on the platform. So you can add, delete, SAP, Salesforce, whatever it is, in a touch of a button. It's one part. And then second, make it easier for Jaap the mailman, right? I mean, he's now 82, but can we make it that easy that the 104-year-olds, I mean, maybe not, but can we make it even more easy? That's the idea.
Oliver, have you thought about something?
Just the way of saying it is sometimes difficult because it's complex, right? Yeah, with all these integrations, all these other tools that are out there, what Beekeeper is exploring more and more is workflows. Mm-hmm. And workflows might have touch point to different systems. So it could be that I hand in a form from the app, then it needs to go to the HR department and the HR tool. It will come back, but then it will trigger something in the e-learning tool. So these workflows and really understanding more of the everyday life of a frontline employee, there we want to become more operative, and that's going to be, yeah, that's good. That's definitely going to be one thing for the future.
That sounds amazing. We have to close the meeting here because the time is over, but we had really amazing presentations. And it was not only the presentations that we have seen, because you always can present a solution, and that's very nice to see, but we have seen real results. We have seen takeaways, experiences, use cases. We have seen real figures of the results that were achieved through those two solutions, one brand new by PostNord in Finland. Both solutions really approach the same problem, but in a slightly different way, of course. One of the comments that I've seen here was very nice presentations, and I see a collaboration growing between Beekeeper and Trailer. Maybe that's the case. Maybe we should think about that. Combining all the communication tools with the engagement tools, with the gaming tools, and so on and so forth. And maybe also, I don't know if that's really the issue, that there one day are too many tools out there, to find ways really maybe to connect some of them to some degree at least. It could also be an idea. Just wanted to throw that in as well. But again, great presentations, great feedback. I want to thank Jasper. I want to thank Oliver, Ekaterina, and Kati. Thank you very much for providing all those insights. Thank you also very, very much to all the participants. I have said it in the beginning. I think if not, I say it here. This session has been recorded. It will be published on YouTube, and everybody can rewatch it or newly watch it there whenever you like. So that will be done tomorrow or the day after, and I'll send out anyway an email with all the information. So once again, thank you very much to everybody, and have a great remaining day. Goodbye.